There's a chilling moment when you realize it's not just one person trying to bring you down, it's a pattern, a swarm, an orchestrated wave of negativity targeting your peace, your path, your soul. This is not coincidence. It's spiritual warfare, and you, chosen one, are at the center of it. These gang stalkers may not even realize who sent them or why they're doing it, but their spirits are reacting to something divine inside you. They're drawn to attack because your presence awakens what's dead in them. You carry truth, and truth terrifies those still living in illusion. Your existence exposes their falsehoods, and that's why they move against you in groups. But here's what they never counted on. Your protection isn't natural, it's supernatural. The moment they conspire against you, they step out of the flow of grace and walk straight into spiritual judgment. The karma that awaits them isn't casual. It's not delayed. It's not kind. It's the kind of divine consequence that comes with force, unforgiving, precise, and multiplied. Every whisper, every smear, every attempt to block your path is already recorded by the universe. They think they're escaping justice because they see no lightning strike, but God doesn't need thunder to bring judgment. Sometimes He lets them walk straight into the pit they dug for you. So if you feel the weight of invisible battles, if you've seen strange patterns of resistance rising in your life, know this: it's not weakness. It's proof of your spiritual power. And their karma? It's not coming. It's already here. Comment below: I walk with divine protection. Let the universe know you're awake. If this message already touches something deep in your soul, go ahead and like this video. Subscribe to this channel for more truth that sets your spirit free. And tap the bell so you never miss when divine revelation is dropped. It's time to expose the darkness for what it is. They don't understand what they're playing with. To them, it feels like petty gossip, subtle glances, quiet coordination behind closed doors. But in the spirit realm, every word they whisper, every plan they make, is a direct strike against a soul who was handpicked by God. The moment they set you as a target, the heavens took note. You see, chosen one, your energy is not ordinary. It's a divine assignment in motion. You are wrapped in protection they cannot penetrate, a field of spiritual fire they can't see. They think they're plotting in secret, but the spiritual realm hears it all. And while they believe their actions are going unnoticed, their own destruction has already been set in motion. Every attack they launch against you becomes a boomerang of chaos, returning to their own lives. It doesn't matter how silent their efforts are, karma doesn't need a confession. Every insult, every slander, every plan to isolate or humiliate you is already accumulating spiritual debt they will not be able to repay. The universe doesn't operate on their timing, but on divine order. And when that order swings back, it doesn't ask for permission. It corrects, it strikes, and it leaves no stone unturned. They won't understand why their lives are unraveling, but you will. You'll know exactly when the balance begins to shift. What makes it so poetic is this: while they're watching you, hoping for your fall, the universe is lifting you higher. They're trying to dim your light, but every attack only makes you shine brighter. They don't understand that persecution is part of your process. The more they come against you, the more refined your soul becomes. Every blow becomes fuel. Every betrayal becomes a lesson. Every rejection is redirection by divine hands. You're not losing ground. You're gaining spiritual altitude. You're not cursed. You're being crowned. There's something about the spirit of a chosen one that makes people uncomfortable, even when you've said nothing. You walk into a room, and the atmosphere shifts. Not because of arrogance, but because your soul is heavy with purpose. You reflect back to others what they're avoiding in themselves. And for those still trapped in their ego or bitterness, your presence becomes unbearable. That's why they gather. That's why they attack. It's not that you did something wrong. It's that you're doing everything right. They're not repelled by you. They're repelled by the truth your life embodies. They think they can silence you. They think if they can gather enough voices, they can drown out the calling over your life. But what they don't realize is that heaven only needs one voice to shake the earth. You are that voice. And every time you rise after another attack, it sends ripples into the spiritual world. They feel it, even if they don't admit it. That's why they keep coming. Not because you're weak, but because you're powerful beyond what they can comprehend. And that power terrifies them. You are a walking disruption to their darkness. The karma that's coming for them doesn't just restore balance. It teaches. It humbles. It reveals the consequences of touching what was never theirs to touch. And when the fallout begins, don't be surprised when the very ones who mocked you come back in confusion, asking why everything is falling apart. They'll never admit what they did, but their lives will testify. Their finances will shrink, their relationships will fracture, their peace will vanish. The same way they tried to isolate you, life will now isolate them. Not because of revenge, but because of divine justice. And through it all, chosen one, you must remember this. You don't have to fight them. You don't have to explain yourself. The greatest proof of your protection is your peace in the face of chaos. You were never meant to fit into the crowd, because you were born to shift atmospheres. Their schemes cannot override your assignment. And no matter how many eyes are watching you, none can override the eye of God that never sleeps. You are covered, anointed, and untouchable. And the more they try to break you, the more undeniable your rise becomes. What they never expected is that their attacks would actually serve as confirmation of your identity. They thought they were destroying your confidence, your purpose, your peace. But all they did was validate your calling. The more they move against you, the more evident it becomes that you are set apart. The enemy doesn't waste time attacking those who are not a threat. The reason they gather in secret and speak your name with such venom is because your life is doing what their ego cannot handle, exposing lies with your presence alone. There is something about you they cannot copy, manipulate, or extinguish. And that's why they fear you. Your light disrupts their illusions, and your silence is louder than their schemes. Gang stalking is not random. It's not coincidence. It's coordinated, even when the participants don't consciously know each other. There's a spiritual frequency that your presence activates, and those who are unhealed, envious, or aligned with darker forces respond like moths to flame. They gather, not because they understand you, but because your light exposes something hidden within them. When a chosen one walks into their path, their masks begin to slip. They panic, and instead of healing or transforming, they attack. But what they don't know is that their response is already triggering their own downfall. The same moment they rise against you is the moment they begin to fall apart. And while they use their energy to sabotage you, you're using that pressure to grow. You're being elevated in ways they will never understand. The gossip they spread has pushed you into greater self-awareness. The isolation they tried to cause has deepened your intimacy with God. The disrespect you endured has forged a new kind of spiritual steel inside of you. They thought they were winning. They thought you'd break. But instead, you rose, wiser, clearer, and stronger than ever. You are not a victim of their darkness. You are the testimony that even in the midst of attack, divine favor cannot be shaken. They see you standing, and it confuses them. It confuses them because they don't realize your strength doesn't come from yourself. It comes from something ancient, something sacred, something untouchable. Your resilience is a product of divine preparation, forged through fire and storm. They see the surface and think it's luck, but what they don't see are the nights you cried in silence, the prayers you whispered when no one believed in you, the hours you spent battling in the spirit for peace. What they call coincidence is actually divine covering. What they mock is what God has marked. And you, chosen one, have been marked for something eternal. That's why they can't touch you. The universe has laws that man cannot override. One of them is simple. What you sow, you will reap. And gang stalkers sow nothing but deceit, confusion, envy, and spiritual hostility. They think because they move in silence, they are safe. But the universe doesn't require volume to record actions. It measures energy, motive, and alignment. And when those things are off, when someone steps out of divine order to harm someone walking in purpose, the consequences are not just material, they are spiritual. And those consequences echo through every area of life. They'll lose things they didn't even know were connected to their actions against you. And here's the most divine twist of all. The very things they tried to block you from are now being delivered into your hands. The very peace they tried to steal from you has now become your foundation. They tried to stop your voice, but now your voice is being amplified. They tried to isolate you, but now God is setting a table before you in the presence of your enemies. They were playing checkers while heaven was orchestrating chess. Every move they made against you has been reversed, multiplied, and repurposed by the Most High to become a stepping stone. You are walking into the very thing they tried to keep from you, and they are watching it happen. Let them watch. Let them witness the favor they can't explain. Because this season is not about proving yourself, it's about walking boldly into what was already promised. They don't deserve your explanation. They won't receive your truth. What they need is silence, and your silence is deafening. It speaks of trust in God, of divine strategy, of elevation without retaliation. You don't fight like they do. You don't throw shade, you shine. You don't gossip, you grow. And that's what they can't handle. Your existence is a threat to every illusion they've built their identity upon. And your rise, despite their efforts, is the ultimate revenge. There comes a moment when the gang stalkers realize they've gone too far. But by then, it's too late. They start to feel the spiritual recoil of every dagger they threw at you. Their world begins to crack in subtle ways. Miscommunication, betrayal within their own circle, sudden losses, unexplained chaos, and they stand confused, blind to the truth that this is karma in its most precise form. Every plot, every slander, every manipulation they attempted against you is now ricocheting with greater force. You didn't have to lift a finger. You didn't have to scream. All you had to do was keep walking in truth, and the truth has become their punishment. What they'll never admit is how obsessed they became with you. Not out of admiration, but out of spiritual unrest. Your energy haunted them. Your consistency reminded them of everything they gave up on. Your presence forced them to look at the emptiness within themselves. You didn't have to do anything to provoke them. Your mere existence was enough. That's why it became so personal for them. They weren't just fighting you. They were fighting what you represent: divine order, inner peace, spiritual authority. And because they didn't understand it, they feared it. And what they feared, they tried to destroy. But you cannot destroy what was divinely assigned. You may not have seen every battle, but you felt them. In the sudden heaviness, in the fatigue that made no sense, in the dreams that shook you awake at night. These weren't coincidences. They were signals. Indicators that dark energy was being directed at you. But even then, the Most High surrounded you. While they sent arrows in the dark, God placed a shield around your mind, your heart, your soul. You are not fragile, chosen one. You are fortified, reinforced by divine covenant. And every unseen battle you've endured was never just survival. It was preparation for domination. They didn't just fail to stop you. They actually sharpened you. And now, here you are, still standing, still growing, still glowing. Everything they feared would happen is now unfolding before their eyes. You didn't retaliate with the same darkness they threw at you. You didn't stoop to their level. You stayed in alignment with your purpose, and that spiritual integrity is now yielding a harvest they cannot comprehend. The very ones who tried to block your elevation are now witnessing it from the sidelines. And the strangest part? Some of them still don't know why they hate you, but deep down, their soul does. It remembers your light, it recognizes your destiny, and it trembles in the presence of divine authority. There's a sacred power in restraint, and you, chosen one, have mastered it. You didn't expose them when you could. You didn't retaliate when provoked. You held your peace, not out of fear, but out of wisdom, because you knew something they didn't. What the universe does in silence is far more powerful than anything done in noise. While they spoke your name in rooms you never entered, the divine was speaking your name in realms they can't access. Their influence was limited to gossip, but your influence is spiritual, eternal, transcendent, and no matter how many came together to try and curse you, their words disintegrated in the face of your anointing. Now they sit in confusion, wondering why their efforts failed, wondering why their own lives are unraveling. But this is the cost of spiritual injustice. The universe doesn't forget, and while they may never publicly confess what they did, they will privately suffer the effects. This is not cruelty, it's correction, divine correction. And as they taste the bitter fruit of their own intentions, they'll have no one to blame but themselves. That's the difference between you and them. They operate from ego. You operate from spirit. And when you operate from spirit, no enemy formed against you can stand. Not in this realm or the next. And as the truth begins to settle into their reality, something shifts. They begin to see that all their efforts to destroy you only made you stronger. They see you walking in confidence they can't shake. They see doors opening for you that they can't close. They hear your name being honored in places where they tried to erase it, and they start to realize messing with a chosen one was never just a mistake. It was a spiritual violation. And karma isn't done with them yet, because for every word they use to try to curse your life, a reversal is already in motion. You don't need revenge. Your growth is your vindication. You see, there's something about the path of a chosen one that draws both light and darkness. You were born to be a beacon, and beacons attract attention, wanted and unwanted. The truth is, many of these people were never meant to walk with you. They were only allowed into your story so they could reveal themselves. Their betrayal was their own exposure. Their plots were their own undoing. And every step they took against you became another nail in the coffin of their peace. What they didn't understand is that when you're divinely chosen, even the enemy's moves become tools for your elevation. God wastes nothing, not even your enemies. The gang stalkers thought they were clever, moving in secrecy, coordinating hate, pretending it was harmless. But what they didn't realize is that the spiritual realm doesn't need evidence to act. It responds to intent, and their intent was always to break you, silence you, discredit you. Their goal wasn't simply to observe, it was to spiritually assassinate. But the problem is, you can't kill what heaven has ordained. Every attempt only triggered more angels on your behalf. Every whisper became another spiritual alert to higher realms. You're not just protected, you're watched over, guarded by forces they can't see, and supported by a destiny they can't interrupt. Even when they celebrated your low points, you were still rising. They mistook your silence for defeat, but silence is where God works best. You were being rebuilt, reshaped, and renewed behind the veil. And now that you've emerged stronger than ever, they're left scrambling for explanations. How did you survive that storm? How did you smile through the betrayal? How are you still moving when everything was thrown at you? They'll never understand that your foundation was never built on man. It was anchored in the divine, and that foundation cannot be shaken, no matter how many storms come. And now, ironically, many of them want access to what they once tried to destroy. They see your glow and want to be close again. But this is where your discernment must remain strong. Because not all apologies are sincere, and not all silence is peace. Some of them are only quiet because their lives are falling apart. They no longer have the energy to fight you, not because they've changed, but because karma has exhausted them. And if you allow them back in without divine instruction, you invite their judgment into your atmosphere. This is your season of boundaries. Spiritual protection doesn't just come from angels. It comes from obedience to the signs. Every chosen one reaches a point where elevation requires separation, not just from obvious enemies, but from familiar spirits that wear the mask of friendship. These gang stalkers often disguise themselves as supporters at first. But pay attention. The ones who once clapped the loudest were the first to go silent when you were tested. And in the silence, their true allegiance was revealed. Your spirit felt it. That unease around them wasn't paranoia, it was prophecy. You knew before you had proof, and that inner knowing is one of your greatest gifts. Don't second-guess it. Your discernment is divine. Trust it without apology. There's a heavy cost for touching the life of a chosen one with impure motives, and that cost shows up in ways they never expect. Their peace becomes polluted. Their plans fail. Their mind becomes restless. Relationships fall apart, and they keep searching for external reasons, not realizing they triggered spiritual backlash. You don't have to be there to witness it. God will allow you to hear of it, not for revenge, but for closure, to remind you that justice has been served. You never had to curse them. Your elevation did all the speaking, and now the evidence of their actions is being written across the canvas of their lives. The most beautiful part of all this is that through everything, you remained pure. You didn't let their darkness infect you. You didn't allow bitterness to poison your soul. You kept your integrity, even when it was costly. And now, the rewards are pouring in, not just in material form, but in peace, in clarity, in purpose. That's what they envy most. Not your possessions, but your power. The kind of power that doesn't come from control, but from alignment, from knowing who you are and whose you are. And that kind of knowing can't be faked, imitated, or stolen. It has to be earned through fire. And you earned it. When they spoke your name with hate, you responded with silence. When they gathered to tear you down, you chose elevation over retaliation. And now the heavens are answering on your behalf. There is a sacred power in choosing peace when war is offered, in staying soft when life tries to harden you. That decision, time and time again, is what separated you from them. It's what preserved your soul when others were losing theirs. You are not just surviving this. You're embodying victory with every breath. And that victory, rooted in spiritual strength, can't be duplicated. That's why they're still obsessed, because nothing they did could stop what God ordained. You were never meant to fit in. You were sent to stand out, to walk differently, to carry a vibration that interrupts systems of control and calls out spiritual imbalance. That's why you became a target. Your very existence is prophetic. You walk into rooms and shift the atmosphere. Your words carry frequency. Your eyes carry ancient wisdom. And your silence pierces more deeply than their loudest attacks. They tried to reduce you to labels, to rumors, to misunderstandings. But all they did was reveal that they never really knew who you were to begin with. They saw your flesh, but never discerned your spirit. And that's why their attacks never landed. Even now, they're still watching, still lurking, still trying to decode your peace. But you owe them nothing. You don't need to explain your glow. You don't need to justify your favor. You don't need to give access to those who tried to destroy you. This is not arrogance. It's protection. You've been through too much to hand your light back to those who tried to snuff it out. Let them wonder. Let them sit in the silence they created. The silence where they once thought you'd suffer. But now, it's the same silence that torments them. Because in your stillness, they see what can't be faked. True spiritual power. And for the ones who think they've gotten away with it, just wait. Karma isn't done. It's strategic. It allows them to rise just high enough to feel invincible, only to fall from a height that humbles them permanently. You don't need to wish them harm. The harm is already self-inflicted. Their dishonor towards you was dishonor toward the divine plan itself, and that kind of dishonor cannot go unbalanced. They thought they were dealing with a person, but they were dealing with a purpose. And you can't sabotage a divine purpose without consequence. That's the law. That's the unseen code of the universe. And it always, always holds. The truth is, what they envied in you was never your success. It was your resilience. They don't understand how you kept moving after the betrayal, how you still believed after the heartbreak, how you forgave when you had every reason not to. That's the mark of a chosen one. It's not just about light, it's about endurance. And endurance like yours scares people, because they realize there's a strength in you that can't be broken. You are unshakable, not because you're lucky, but because you've been tested. And each test became your training ground. Each trial became a teacher. And now you're walking in the wisdom that only fire can give. Many of them will come to regret what they did, but don't let that regret grant them access. Not every apology deserves a reunion. Forgiveness is your responsibility, but restoration is not. Let them find healing on their own journey. Let them seek peace where they broke it. You've already paid the price for your evolution, and you're not obligated to carry those who mocked your growth. This is your time to walk in full authority, to set boundaries like sacred altars, to protect your purpose like the treasure it truly is. You're not cold, you're clear, you're not bitter, you're awakened. You've outgrown their chaos. Now let them sit in the seeds they sowed. So let them talk, let them watch, let them spiral. But you keep walking, keep growing, keep shining. Because your light is your vengeance, your peace is your response, and your destiny is your defense. You don't need to prove anything to anyone. The fruit of your life speaks louder than their accusations, and as they crumble in the shadows, you're ascending into a season of clarity, peace, and fulfillment. This is your divine compensation. This is the table God has set for you in the presence of your enemies. Sit boldly, feast unapologetically. You are exactly where you were always meant to be. You've made it through what was designed to destroy you. That alone makes you powerful beyond comprehension. The gang stalkers, the manipulators, the hidden enemies, none of them imagined you'd still be standing with your soul intact, your faith sharpened, and your purpose burning brighter than ever. What was supposed to break you became your foundation. What was meant to isolate you became your sanctuary. What they called the end was just the divine beginning. And as they watch your rise, they feel the weight of what they tried to stop. But now, nothing can interrupt your momentum. You've crossed over into a new season, one that no enemy can enter, no counterfeit can fake, and no force of darkness can touch. You were never sent to live quietly in the shadows. Your life was designed to disturb the systems of oppression, to shake the illusions, to radiate truth so deeply that darkness couldn't stand still in your presence. That's why they couldn't leave you alone. Your vibration dismantled everything they used to feel powerful. They couldn't manipulate you. They couldn't intimidate you. And most of all, they couldn't stop you. And now, they are witnessing what happens when someone chooses alignment over approval, integrity over validation, and spirit over ego. You're not just rising, you're ascending. And that elevation is a language your enemies will never understand. Chosen one, if this message pierced through your soul, let the spirit realm know you've awakened. Drop a comment below saying, "I rise," Let your enemies feel the vibration of your voice echo into the unseen. Don't just scroll. Take a stand. Hit the like button to affirm your strength, and subscribe now so you never miss a download of truth that was always meant for you. And while you're here, activate that bell icon. Why? Because the next word might just be the one that catapults you into your destiny. Let this be the day your spiritual voice breaks through all barriers. The day your power becomes undeniable. The day karma finishes what it started. I want to give deep thanks to every soul who supports this mission through Buy Me a Coffee. Your generosity fuels this sacred work, and each contribution helps us bring you deeper, more powerful content that awakens and empowers. If you feel called to support this divine movement, the link is pinned in the first comment below. If this message lit a fire in your soul, don't stop here. Click the video that's now on your screen or binge our entire Chosen Ones playlist to unlock more revelations meant for your journey. There is power in staying spiritually fed, and this is your spiritual home. Stay safe, stay elevated, and I'll see you in the next video. Your light can't be dimmed, and your rise can't be stopped.